with no known connection to Saturday's assassination attempt.
Oh, Lion News Media immediately. No known connection. Okay. Lion News Media. Fake news. Okay. Fake news. Let's get started.
Investigation of the assassination attempt on former President Trump is already pointing to serious flaws in security at the rally. More video from the scene appears to show bystanders trying to warn police just before the shooting. Charlie DeMar is at the scene. Charlie, good morning.
Vlad, good morning. The site of the shooting and rally, still an active crime scene here in Butler, Pennsylvania. The FBI says it has completed the search of the shooter's home and car. They've gained access into his phone, all in an effort to try and determine a motive. Cell phone video taken Saturday evening shows rally attendees pointing towards Thomas Matthew Crooks and trying to alert police to his presence 2 full minutes before he fired at the former president.
Right here, right on the roof.
Less than 15 seconds before the people are seen running away from the area. Then, just moments later, some in the crowd begin shouting that the man on the roof has a gun.
He's got a gun!
The shooter, firefighter Corey Comparator, and wounded 3 others, the former president, 57-year-old Marine Corps veteran David Dutch, and 74-year-old James Copenhaver. Seconds later, he was dead by 1 round from a Secret Service counter sniper.
Dude, it's pretty funny that, like, that footage will forever have the TMZ logo on it. Like, our generation's Zapruder footage literally has the TMZ logo on it. I think that is perhaps like the best demonstration that we have devolved as a society. You know what I mean? Like, it straight up has the TMZ watermark on it. That's crazy. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
The Butler County Sheriff says his department, which was on scene, was not responsible for sweeping the roof where the shooter was perched.
The Sheriff's Office was not asked to do that. And I don't know whose responsibility that would have been.
Sources tell CBS News that the Secret Service didn't clear it either, since it was outside the secure perimeter. But a source with direct knowledge of the incident says 3 snipers from local law enforcement were staged within the building just beneath the shooter. They observed Crooks acting suspiciously before the shooting and radioed into command that he was using a rangefinder and had a backpack. By the time help arrived,
it's a large building and would have been hard to clear. Yeah, no, totally, dude. You're right. Yeah, that's famously, that's what the Secret Service is supposed to say in situations like this. Like, oh man, that's just too hard. Okay, I'm sorry. It's just too hard. It's just too hard. There's not anything we can do. Bro, these guys clear cities. Okay, when I talked about this, someone was trying to unironically make the argument that it's easier for the Secret Service to clear out an entire city block in like DC than it is to secure a barn. Okay, not a barn, but like literally just like a factory. That's the only other building, like a warehouse. That is the only other building in like a 1 mile radius.
Arrived, it was too late. Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle yesterday said she would not step down from her post, despite some calls for her to resign. In an exclusive ABC News interview, she said, "The buck stops with me. I am the director of the Secret Service. It was unacceptable, and it's something that shouldn't happen again." Secretary of Homeland...
Yeah, she's like, she should have said, "I'm a woman. And as you guys know, women are less capable than men." Elon Musk is right. Elon Musk is right. DEI initiatives are absolutely ruining this country.
And security, Alejandro Mayorkas said former President Trump's Secret Service detail has been beefed up, adding that an independent investigation into the shooting and law enforcement response will begin within days. A law enforcement source tells CBS News that the shooter visited a local gun range days before the shooting.
That's a terrible answer from though. Shouldn't happen again. It's very weak rhetoric. Yeah, honestly, I don't know why she said it like that. She should have just straight up been like, as the leader of the Secret Service, it is absolutely my responsibility to ensure that this will never happen again. And you have my assurance that it will never happen again. We take our job very seriously and we are investigating the process very seriously. and you know, our commitment to securing, our commitment to the safety and security of all of the high profile you know, people that we are tasked with serving and their family members is you know, absolute, something along those lines. I just whipped that up in like literally 3 seconds. That's crazy. Bro is yapping. Dude, they should just hire me to do PR. As you guys know, I'm so good at doing PR, especially for myself.
And purchased ammunition, 50 rounds of ammo before heading to the rally. And multiple sources telling CBS News that the shooter's father called 911 shortly after his son opened fire. Adriana?
So many new details. Charlie, thank you.
We do have some break.
Okay, it's actually not a joke, though. It's actually not even a joke that 100% I would love to see the shooter's phone. And I am not even remotely kidding when I say I think I could do a better job than whoever they have at Quantico to immediately identify points of radicalization and figure out a motive. I'm not joking when I say this. That I am not very confident in my expertise in anything on this planet, really. Like anything at all, with one exception, and that is brain rot, okay? Brain rot. Give me brain rot, I will tell you with pinpoint accuracy exactly how this became brain rotted, what YouTube videos he watched, okay? What his allegiances are. And like, I won't lie, even if it's like he's Antifa or whatever, like I'll still tell you. I just want to know the truth so bad. But would you be unbiased? I mean, it'd be hard in that situation, but if I'm allowed to see it, then, you know, you just out of sheer curiosity, I want to know so bad that I would be unbiased in my analysis. Okay. Do you think he wants to avenge the death of Qasem Soleimani? Yeah, definitely. That seems to be my working theory. You guys don't understand. Butler, Pennsylvania was weeping when Qasem Soleimani was executed. A lot of people don't understand how hard Western Pennsylvania was struck with the news that Qasem Soleimani was executed by the American government. Okay? Butler wept, dude. Like, what's the argument? Exclusive. Secret Service ramped up security after intel of Iranian plot to assassinate Trump. Like, even if this is correct, okay? Which, you know, I don't know. Who knows? But like the idea that this would be somehow connected to the shooter. Let me tell you what I think is even more likely. Like, let me tell you how unlikely this is. Okay. It is so unlikely that I think it's more likely that the shooter was a Nikki Haley or a Ron DeSantis stan. And I think that's pretty unlikely. Okay. Like, I'm imagining a realm of possibilities here. And I'm thinking in my mind, like, the shooter's connections to Iran, the IRGC, is somehow less likely than the shooter being like a diehard Nikki Slaley stan and being like, "We need you, Nikki," right now, is blaring in his ear as he lined up the, you know what I mean? A single tear fell down his cheek as he lined up on his iron sights and looked down the barrel of that AR-15 and said, "It's time. We need you, Nikki, right now to lead our nation." And then he took the
breaking news here, Boris. We are learning of a plot to assassinate former President Trump, a plot with no known connection to Saturday's assassination attempt.
Lying news media immediately. No known connection. Okay. Lying news media. Fake news. Okay. Fake news.
Mention that's obviously very noteworthy. Let's bring in senior justice correspondent Evan with details on this. Evan, what do you know?
Well, Brianna, in recent weeks, the U.S. government received intelligence from a human source that indicated that the Iranians were plotting to try to kill former President Donald Trump. Now, that led immediately to an increase in the protection for the former president. We heard over the weekend from the Secret Service that in recent weeks they had increased their protection for the former president. And so the question was exactly why. We now know that this is the reason why. It was specific intelligence that was deemed to be credible enough, and that's the reason why they increased the protection for the former president. It's very important to point out that there is nothing to indicate at this point, part of this investigation.
This makes things even funnier that like there was actionable intelligence on attempts that might come from foreign adversaries against the former president, and the Secret Service still fucked up this hard. Like, we have a gaping hole in our security apparatus, in our security barrier, if that is the case, okay? Like, this is the best increased intelligence gets you.
Investigation of the events on Saturday.
Hot take, Mossad wanted to pin this on Iran, but the guy missed. You are also insane, dude. No, Mossad would never in a million fucking years execute Donald Trump, who is literally a more popular political figure than Benjamin Netanyahu and Joe Biden, okay, in Israel. What are you saying?
That the shooter, the would-be assassin that tried to assassinate the former president on Saturday, there's no indication that it had anything to do with this Iranian plot. It appears to be a coincidence, obviously, but it is one of those things that is raising new questions, I think, for the Secret Service and for everybody involved in the protection of Donald Trump, how it was that these events took place as they did on Saturday. How did someone, this 20-year-old person, get onto that roof, again, knowing that they had this intelligence, the Secret Service was aware of this intelligence, and they had taken, obviously, some additional steps. But how did that person get on a roof and be able to fire off these shots that almost killed Donald Trump? Those are very, very big, important questions that you're going to have.
Asman has tasted the politics viewer counts. He will never be the same. Yeah. I don't think he understands that he stepped foot into a very treacherous field, though. A field that will not be kind to him. So, like, currently, gamers watching him do political commentary will go the distance, but I don't know if he'll want to continue it. Kinder than it is to you, lol. Yeah, but all I'm going to say is this area, this space that I exist in is a very treacherous one. It's significantly worse. Like significantly worse than you know, doing courtroom analysis on the Johnny Depp stuff, you know.
Secret Service are going to have to answer in the coming weeks. And then the other issue obviously is you know, how much of this played into some of the preparations for this rally. We know that over the period of months.
I'm the Geo Rainbolt of fucking figuring out brain rot, dude.
That the former president's campaign has been told and has been warned by the Secret Service about the inherent risks of holding these very large, these outdoor events where it's inherently more risky for his security. And you know, the Secret Service would much prefer for Donald Trump or anyone who's running for office like this to hold events in a closed environment where they have better control of who gets in and out and who might have access to him. And so the question there is, you know, were they aware of, to our knowledge, they weren't necessarily read in on the specifics of this plot, but the question is, you know, should they be holding these outdoor events where there is clearly more risk than, you know, to do events if they did them inside, for instance, an arena.
And so this knowledge now, in retrospect, knowing why they amped up the security, that they had all the more reason to be cautious, obviously, in the setup of the situation there in Butler, Pennsylvania. When we also look, though, and of note, as you point out, this was not connected to what happened on Saturday, but what happened on Saturday was sort of seen as something, obviously, a lone gunman, right. Something that was a little more ad hoc. We've learned now that it was almost 2 minutes.
Even queer leftists in Poland, IRL, have told me they hate Hasan when I tell them I watch. Asman don't want that smoke. I mean, Asmongold is not also going to have positions that, like, Polish people hate. If anything, triangulating your position to what Polish people like will probably garnered you a lot of Reddit style support, especially Polish people. Oh, Portland. Oh, I fucking thought you said Poland. I don't know why I immediately thought Poland. Portland. Yeah. Those people fucking despise Asman anyway. They're not going to watch his ass. Poland rant, keep going. He is very central. So I don't think you get the same hint.
People saw this man on the roof before he took a shot. Right. And that raises a lot of questions about how security was responding there. But just knowing that an ad hoc situation was able to almost succeed raises questions about what a state actor might be able to achieve. And knowing what we now know about this Iran plot, what kind of notes they or another entity that is an enemy of the U.S., what kind of notes they might be taking?
Right, exactly. And the issue is obviously the threat from Iran has been a known factor, right? There's been warnings about Iran and the fact that they do want to strike back against the United States. Obviously, the 2020 assassination of Qasem Soleimani in Iraq, the top general there in Iran, has prompted increasing concerns about specific officials inside the U.S. government who could be targeted, including the former president, but also Mike Pompeo, John Bolton. We've all seen.
I think Iran conversations are relatively silly, and it's the same as like conversations that pertain to China. I wouldn't say the same for Russia, because ultimately, like, Iran, as far as a regional actor, as far as being a regional actor, will do a lot of stuff that is polarizing. Will do violent things every now and then. But in terms of like their foreign policy against the United States of America or United States of America's allies like Israel, they have been pretty fucking tame. Like, they have demonstrated restraint even with the Israel situation. If you recall, I'd say the same thing about China as well. Like, I don't think Iran wants the smoke, the American smoke in general. I don't think they want to like fuck the bag up any further. So these kinds of conversations about like, oh, Iran wants to like assassinate the American president, like I think that's far too ambitious for the Iranian government in general, you know?
These people being, protected to a greater extent than you might see former officials usually protected. So we've seen all of that visibly. And so the questions you're asking are exactly the ones that I think it's on everyone's mind, because we know, for instance, that the
Hasan daring them, lol. No, I'm not. I think that they are very, like I said, they're very restrained. I don't think restraint is a bad thing. It's not me provoking Iran. I think you guys are operating on like Iran's foreign policy being like barbaric and very violent as a narrative. So you're not understanding the things I'm saying. I'm saying the exact opposite of what you think is going on. And I'm pointing to like Iranian lack of action, Iranian lack of reaction, Iranian disinterest in Iranian disinterest specifically in retaliation and escalation.
The Justice Department has arrested people who did have they did try to come up with plots to go after John Bolton. And so all of that information, I think, makes you wonder, why the events happened on Saturday the way they did. I should note that we did get a statement from the Trump campaign, and they said, we do not comment on the President Trump's security detail. All questions should be directed to the United States Secrets is the big question, right? They're going to be facing hearings. They're going to be facing very important questions from members of Congress who already are asking, about exactly what went wrong here.
We have all kinds of questions. So if they'd amped up security in light of knowing this, with this threat that they thought was credible, did they have more snipers, perhaps, than they would usually have? We don't know the answer to that at this point, but certainly that would be interesting to know. We also know that Iran has targeted Iranian dissidents on American soil. And as you mentioned, other plots as well. But this gets to a new level. Right? This is talking about the presidency. Someone who has been president and may very well be president again. That seems like a new level. Right. It takes the Iran threat, certainly, I think, to a new height that I think a lot of officials, I think a lot of people who don't know exactly, what's been going on behind the scenes, I think maybe not understand that the threat from the Iranians is at that level. Obviously, Russia and China are seen as the biggest adversaries for the United States. But to try to take out a former president of the United States, someone who right now is leading in many.
Bro, the Iran targets Iranian dissidents on U.S. soil narrative is like if Yeonmi Park was saying that, like, the North Korean government is after her, by the way. The only difference, of course, is that like most people who are at least somewhat serious journalists, like Leslie Stahl on 60 Minutes, is not going to cover Yeonmi Park saying that unless, you know, North Korea is beefed up as a foreign adversary, which they might. But the only reason why they do that for Iran is because it's like, oh yeah, that's, you know, it's just a good way to it's a good way to continue a steady flow of like anti-Iranian sentiment in the media. Like, I don't think there's a single successful assassination. It's simply just attempts from, you know, pro-Shah Iranians living in diaspora saying that there's like attempts against their lives. It's like me saying the Turkish government is after me because I've been threatened before. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I feel about it. Which you won't get like, you won't get a lot of coverage on that either, because Turkey's technically NATO, so they won't actually fucking talk about it all that much. They'll every now and then cover, like, they'll do an Enes Kantar story because he's like a Fethullah Gülen supporter. But ultimately, it's not like the same stable narrative that you can plant against the same stable narrative you can plant against like a foreign adversary that we've propositioned as a foreign, like we've propped up as a foreign adversary for multiple decades at this point.
And he polls and is, you know, at this point, if you were to held an election right now, you know, could very well be the president, the next president again come January. Certainly does indicate that this is an increased level of threat. And that's what the Justice Department, that's what the FBI, that's what the intelligence community, the Homeland Security Department, everybody is very, very keenly aware of. And so the way to protect someone like the leading candidate and to protect the current president of the United States is, it makes it a lot more complicated. We know that politicians want to have these kinds of...
India's done more assassination attempts on U.S. and Canadian soil than Russia, China, and Iran. Saudi Arabia as well, and not just U.S. Soil, but like United States permanent residents, very famously, as a matter of fact, both in Canada and the United States, but also specifically like United States legal permanent residents like Jamal Khashoggi. But again, those are in the sphere of American influence to a certain degree, so that's the reason why that doesn't get the broad coverage, because it's not like tacked on to... It's not tacked on to a narrative that like these guys are the permanent enemies of the United States in the same way that like Iran is. So that's it.
Events where they have more interaction and closer access to their supporters. And so that's always the push and pull that you have between the Secret Service and the security services, the intelligence agencies and so on, to try to inform them. And so that question, I think...
Do I think the Iranian narrative is a lie? I mean, it's not a lie in the sense that I think it's just embellished, most likely. Like, there will be like a fucking mullah that will be like, oh yeah, I'm putting a hit out on, like, it's like the Salman Rushdie shit, you know what I mean? Which is real. Like, that is a real thing that happened, right? But it's like, is it like the official, is it like the official fucking government policy? I don't think so, but I don't know. I mean, could be. Its impact, I think, is still ultimately tacked on to the overarching narrative that like we must go to war with Iran. They are really they're really scary.
We're gonna have emanating from this is, did they add additional resources in Butler, Pennsylvania, right? Did they have additional snipers? We don't know that. We know that there's at least 2 Secret Service sniper groups.
And 2 local.
And 2 local, correct. And we know that one of the sniper groups was able to get a shot that killed this person in that time that he was able to fire off these shots.
Well, this report obviously raising huge questions about, you know, what that would catapult the U.S. into if there would be a threat carried out like that. Evan, thank you so much. We know you're going to continue to dig on this.
Anyway, this is fun.
Donald
Trump's surprising call with RFK Jr. is posted online, then deleted. RFK Jr. is a